I'm talking to my lawyer, saying if they gonna bring evidence, make sure they bring it all. Why y'all not talking about the $90 that they took from me? She said, you don't want more evidence on you. I'm like, but if they gonna tell the truth, tell the truth. In a police report, it says $12.90. And I said, we'll deal with it in motions. She said, we already at that point.
It worked out just fine. My staff had some questions.
Yeah, she asked for the recess for me to put up my evidence so they could crucify me in the court of law. This is so much hate.
Or affirm the information that you're about to give in this court and cause shall be the truth. Have a seat, please. Once you're seated, state your entire name and spell your entire name.
My name is Erick Hernandez, and Erick Hernandez is spelled ERICKHERNANDEZ.
Okay, counsel. Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Hernandez, what do you do for a living?
I am a police officer with the City of Salem, currently assigned to the Street Crimes Unit as a detective.
And how long have you been in law enforcement?
I've been with the City of Salem as a police officer for just over 7 years.
And can you briefly describe your training and experience in law enforcement?
Sure. Initially began my training as a police officer with the Basic Police Academy through the Department of Public Safety Standards training with approximately 740 hours to complete that basic academy. After that, each officer goes through what's called field training, which lasts anywhere from 5 to 6 months, depending on the officer and how they progress through that training, which allows me to come in contact with the public. Actually allows me to have hands-on training in the, hands-on experience with different types of police investigations, everything from the basic standard traffic stop to assaults, sex assaults, drug investigations, thefts, the gambit, basically police work. Additionally, I've attended approximately 80 hours worth of drug-specific training with the Oregon Narcotics. ONEA, which is the Oregon Narcotics Enforcement Association. Thank you. And ONEA basically provides narcotic-specific training, which is very specific to my role as a street crimes detective. I've also gone through the DEA Basic Academy, which has given me additional drug training through the DEA, which is approximately another 80 hours. Aside from that, a lot of my experience is basically hands-on through police work. So.
All right. Can you tell us then, did you assist in the investigation that took place on May 16th of 2014 involving Matthew Mayfield Johnson Jr.?
I did.
Tell us about your role, please.
My role was basically to assist detectives, primary detective working that case. My involvement really didn't begin until the actual execution of the operation, where Detective Smith engaged in or set up basically what we consider a sting, in which he made contact with a Jessica Johnson, basically in answer to a Backpage ad, an internet website advertisement, and so that initial contact, I should say, basically occurred at the Shiloh Inn Suites located at 3.
They stutter a whole lot. Right.
And so, tell us, Detective, then, were you one of the officers that had entered that hotel room that day?
I was.
And
yes,
tell us
he
about
was.
your contact with the defendant.
So, initially, Detective Smith approached the front door of the room, and after knocking, the door was answered by Miss Johnson. And if I remember correctly, she was wearing a pink.
If he remembered correctly, he know.
Underwear. That was about it. There wasn't really much that she was wearing at that point.
So why frisk her down in front of her husband? Why touch and grope my wife?
Behind him, and we made entry into the room. After Detective Smith contacted Miss Johnson,
they the ones
Detective
that
D
committed
began to
the
check
crime.
the remaining rooms that were in there, which was basically a bathroom and then a small closet.
The closet wasn't
Detective
small
D was
at all.
looking in the closet, he immediately yelled, "Show me your hands, show me your hands." And that was obviously a clear indication to me that there was somebody else in the room. Detective D drew his gun, and as did I. And
right here in my
directed
face.
our point of fire to the closet, and Detective Didi ended up giving commands for
Fear.
Mr. Johnson to step out of the closet.
What would a black man do
after that
when the police is already killing all of us? What?
They're on the floor.
What?
And do you see the defendant here today?
I do.
Of course they see him. I'm not the perpetrator.
Yes,
they are.
Can you tell us, Detective, you said you drew your weapon, so you had your weapon on you.
I did.
Were you in plain clothes or in uniform?
At that point, I was in plain clothes, but I was wearing a ballistic vest underneath, and I did have my badge. Generally, when we do these types of investigations, we approach the location in plain clothes with nothing visible, but as soon as we get to the point where we are actually going to identify ourselves as police, we'll make our badge visible either by a neck chain or just on our belt.
So was it visible on this particular occasion when you had contact with the defendant?
I believe it was.
And in telling the defendant, getting him down at gunpoint and handcuffing him, you said that you told him he was under arrest.
Correct.
And you signified you were a police officer?
I did.
And what did you do next with the defendant?
At that point, I separated him from Miss Johnson. I actually escorted him into the bathroom, which was just to the right of the entry door. So a small bathroom just in the room.
How long were you guys there, or what did you do?
At that point, I advised him of his Miranda rights first thing, and after doing that, I'd say I probably spent a minimum half an hour with him in the bathroom.
You read me my Miranda rights.
I advised him of his Miranda rights.
You're lying.
And I basically began an interview with him.
Did he?
Out of fear, you put me in
He stated he
handcuffs.
understood his Miranda rights.
You wasn't. Your mind wasn't on Miranda rights, Hernandez. Because out of fear, you put me being in the closet. You was focused on what kind of criminal I was, right?
Basically, one of the first things we do when we come in contact with someone, and since he was in handcuffs and he was hiding in a closet,
I wasn't hiding. I put my hands out when they knocked on the door and arrested my wife. I was already revealed.
Officer safety concern, and he was going to be cooperative. And since the Miranda begins so early in the contact, he did not sign the Miranda card itself. So.
No, I did not.
He was unable to with his hands.
No, it's because I wasn't aware of a Miranda.
I'm going to hand you what's been marked as State's Exhibit number 1. And can you identify that for us, please? I do have some scissors here, and I'll ask you to actually open that up, and we can pull out the contents as well.
Sure.
This man is really ill, man. He's sick for trying to cover.
This is the Miranda card here that I read to Mr.
Smith.
Johnson, and indicating the date.
Watch how he testified to his own lies.
And there is no signature on that second line, but it does indicate handcuffed.
And is that typical that
he wrote handcuffed because he didn't have my signature? That's lies. They don't got no place doing that
he did
to me.
Acknowledge his rights then.
He did.
No, I didn't. I was too sick, throwing up, ill.
In that bathroom.
Correct.
And after reading Miranda rights, you had questioned him and talked to him about a lot of the investigation, correct?
I did.
At any time during that conversation, did the defendant complain of pain or discomfort or anything like that?
Yes.
No, actually, contrary to that, I remember asking him a series of questions, and I remember him actually...
All this in 30 minutes.
Distinctly remember him actually laughing at some of my questions as if...
Why would I laugh?
...comical into how I was asking them. The only thing I do remember him asking, or basically complaining about, was thirst. He said he was thirsty at one point, which I provided him Gatorade.
Which is a symptom of the metformin pill that I was taking. That's one of the symptoms that I was needing water or something.
Discomfort and pain specifically, no. At one point during the interview, and it was very spontaneous and random, and I remember having to act quickly so that I could allow him to do so. But he was seated on the toilet in the bathroom, and just at one point, kind of randomly, he said, "I think I'm going to throw up." And so
I never said I think I'm going to throw up. I just threw up because I couldn't hold it no more. I just threw up and they all rushed the bathroom. That's the truth.
Did he ever tell you that he was on any kind of medication? That was,
yes, I did, because it all was on the counter. Don't you remember I had a medicine black medicine bag? It had all my medicine in it.
He was not talking about medicine particularly, but just saying, I'm really not feeling right. I'm not understanding you, or I really can't communicate very well with you.
After he vomited, he told me that he had, and I'm sorry, I don't remember what the condition was, but after he vomited, he told me that he had a specific condition and that this was common for him to vomit and not to be able to keep food down.
I don't have no condition. I don't randomly throw up. I was taking a metformin pill that had me throwing up, and I had no control of it because I thought that my doctor said I was a diabetic.